Here we go again. Going over my notes, and Debbie is asking more questions. And instead of writing a new page, I'm over here, over on this side, figuring out, trying to put them over here on this side. But I'm going to do my original Q&A right here with the original questions and answers. And then after that, I'm going to do another Q&A with Debbie's other questions. So here comes the original Q&As. I'm Tom Kovichak, and this is Tom's Trains and Things. This channel was created to help other modelers who are in need of guidance in pursuing their dream of building a model railroad. And so let's go see where this takes us. Okay, all right, back there. There's nothing there. Well, I got a package today, and I wasn't expecting it. It came from FedEx, and I opened it up a little bit, but I thought I was getting something from Dell, but I read it, and it said Google. So I said, what am I getting from Google? And opened it up, and I get a YouTube cap. I say, what am I getting a YouTube cap for? And I'm getting a little YouTube, okay, a little YouTube tote bag, and a little note in it. Said, hey Tom, thank you for all your hard work in the creator community. Continue being a star. Please accept the enclosed items as a small token of appreciation from the YouTube community team, Ashley. Well, Ashley earlier this week announced that she's leaving YouTube, and she's going to be moving to Atlanta, close to family and friends. So thank you, Ashley, and we're going to miss you at the creator community. You've done a lot for everybody there. And I like my YouTube hat, although I'm going to have to curve that down a little bit. I don't like the, just like that. Thank you very much. Well, here's the note from Ashley. I hope that came out good. And oh, here we go. Thank you, Ashley. That was nice of you. Now I finally have a cap that fits. All my other ones are kind of short and they don't fit my big head, but now I finally got one that really fits. Now all I got to do is get this thing to curve down like I like it. But anyway, here we go with the Q&As that I wanted to do earlier when I got sidetracked with Debbie's. But then, these are all of Debbie's questions over here. So we got another one coming up with some more of Debbie's questions after this one. But anyway, first one's from Robert Shanks. And he asked about, is there any decoders for livestock sounds? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the thing up here, and I'm going to show the link up there, and also the link's going to be down on the bottom. But what again, I found his link, and then he wrote back after that a few days later about he didn't know whether to go with one already installed or to buy the decoder. And I wrote back to him again and told him, well, just look for a sale to see whenever you can get it the cheapest. I'm sure you could find a sale for either the decoder or the rolling stock where it's 10 to 20% off. So keep your eyes open and jump on it when you see the sale. Okay, a couple of weeks ago I said Piewacket 69 didn't respond back to a question that he had, and he finally did. And what had happened was His question was on the Digitrax and the PR3, and he wasn't getting any response out of it, and I told him it was probably a bad connection on it. He apologized for not writing back so soon, but what he did was he took my advice and redid his programming track and was testing it out before he wanted to respond back. So what my advice was check out for bad connections. And this seems to be a big problem with a lot of issues that modelers are having, is bad connections either on a programming track or anywhere else on your layout, because another one that I have is about a bad connection also. He's making a portable programming track is what he's doing. Okay. Now, John Dealey, he asked a question about on the Tortoise switch machine. He's got a three-way switch, and he wanted to know how to hook up the Tortoise switch machine for that. And when I said three-way switch, I was thinking about, okay, three-way switch. I'm thinking about a little toggle switch. So then he clarified it for me. So and then when he clarified it for me, I knew what he was talking about, and I went and looked at the diagram on it, and I told him that he was going to need 2 Tortoise switch machines for it, and he's going to have to face them face to face, so they'll be operating like this on the throw bars because they're so close together. So it can be done, but on either end of the leg, he's got a three-way switch on either end of the leg that he's working on, and he's going to have to do it with 4 switch machines. I made a comment in one of my videos about doing the power supply and waiting on the parts, and I'm still waiting on the parts. They're supposed to be here today. Now they come in by FedEx, and then FedEx drops them off at the post office, and the post office delivers them. I don't know why. I guess, you know, it's cheaper that way. But anyway, he says that he hooked up the green and the black wire to get the power supply working. You are absolutely correct. The green and the black wire will turn the power supply on. Now let me find the green wire. Now the black wire, all these black wires right here are ground wires. Okay. Now the one green wire on here, and I'll go a little bit further on when I get the, I don't know where to go, here it is. When I get the resistors in later today, and I'll make the video on it. But the green wire is supposed to be a momentary contact on it. So what it does, it activates a voltage regulator in the power supply. So whenever you put the black and the green wire together, that's like, let's put it into automotive terms. That's like running your car with the starter solenoid engaged. Okay, not everything's working. There's a voltage regulator in here, so whenever you're using all these other wires on here, now you have 3.3 volts, you have 5 volts, you got plus 12 volts, and you got minus 12 volts. The voltage regulator in here keeps the voltage steady. So if you have switch machines in here, and like Vinny says, he has his lights working on it and everything, if you have it hooked up the way he has it with just the black and green wire on there, whenever your Tortoise switch machine is operating, you're drawing on the voltage, you're drawing on the current inside here, but there's no way for it to regulate the voltage on there because you're bypassing the voltage regulator. The more that you put on it and the more load that you put on it, the more that you're going to see some fluctuation in the voltage. So the best thing to do is watch my video when it comes out. There's a power resistor that you have to put across. The red is the plus 5 volts in one of the black wires, and it gets hot because you have a lot of current going through it, and that's the reason why you put it through there, because it simulates that you have a computer on there, and that runs the voltage regulator inside the power supply to keep the voltage at a constant level, a constant 12 volts, a constant 5 volts, a constant 3.3 volts. And that's the purpose of the push button on there. Yes, it'll work. Okay, now, what else? Sparky said, why Digitrax? Okay, now that's maybe a two-part question. Now, why am I doing Digitrax? Why am I doing all the videos on Digitrax? And why did I choose Digitrax? Well, here's the first part. Digitrax had all the components that I needed. They had the DS64 for the switch machines. They had the PM42 for separating into sections. They had everything for signaling. They had everything for detection, and they had everything. No other manufacturer had that. That's why I went with Digitrax. Now, the reason that I do the demonstrations on Digitrax is because that's what I have. Now, if there are any other manufacturers that would like to give me their product, and I'll give it back to them when I'm finished it, I'll try it out and I'll do a demonstration on how to do it. But until then, everything that I do is going to be on Digitrax. But that's the reason why everything is on Digitrax, because the cost, it was cheaper. Whenever you're mixing parts, like they have their own decoders, in my experience, even with that, even with the standards, if you mix two different manufacturers together, you're going to run into some compatibility problems somewhere down the line. So I figured, why take that risk? I'm going to go with Digitrax. So that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. All right, Andy Kemp's original question goes way back, I guess, a couple of months. He was working on a new section. He had a small section. He's got NCE, and he was planning on adding to his layout, and he wanted to know if he could add to his layout. And so I, told him how to do that. And I told him it would be better, if he could start in the center and work his way out both ways. A lot of people run into problems when they use suitcase connectors. Now, he's from Scotland, and he calls them chocolate boxes. Okay, so that kind of threw me there. But anyway, he had problems with the connections from that. This seems to be a common thread through everything here, is bad connections, especially with those suitcase connectors. But on your model railroad, take the time to solder the thing on, or find a good connector, like a wire nut or something, or one of the other ones that I showed you. Give you a better connection than those suitcase connectors, because you're just going to run into problems with that. The best thing to do is solder it. Get yourself a cheap soldering gun or a soldering iron and solder it. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject. But anyway, Andy Kemp, he resolved his problem because all his issues with his expansion was with the connections. So even though he still used the suitcase connectors, or chocolate boxes as he calls them, he figured out that they were bad connections, but he resolved them anyway. But check your connections, because that's where the problem lies most of the time. So if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, ding that bell, and go ahead check out my Patreon page. If you'd like to support this channel, go ahead and check that out in that Patreon page. And check out my webpage. And while you're at it, leave a comment down below. Coming up next week, I think I'm going to do a shout out Monday evening. And then after that, nothing until maybe Saturday, because my granddaughters will be here. So it's playtime with the granddaughters. And that's about it. And thank you very much, Ashley, for the hat and the tote bag. And I wish you all the best in whatever you are doing in Atlanta. Good luck.